Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Detour Live. I'm joined as always by four-time national road champion Johnny Trevorrow, special guest, the voice of cycling Phil Liggett, and Olympic gold medalist Scotty McGrory. Fellas, it's been a big day for sport. We've just had the Melbourne Cup, and bloody Jerry Ryan's won it again.
Yeah, well, his partner's in it. I just saw him on the news, and he'll hate this, but because he loves the celebration, but he loves to keep it in control. But he was shaking the bottle, and in excitement, he had a little scull from the bottle, and they caught him on Channel 7 News. But Val was much more demure. She was having a little drink out of the cup.
Phil, is the Melbourne Cup big over in the UK?
No, we've never heard of it. Oh, I tell you. Well, for me, it's always been big because when I used to work on the excuse me.
John does it all the time.
On the Congo Bank Cycle Classic down the eastern seaboard, that was always running in October, and of course the hype was coming because November was on the way, and so was the Melbourne Cup, and so I did learn about the Melbourne Cup many years ago, but I never really got close to it, of course, until our long history now with Jerry Ryan, and I think I'm not mistaken, John. I think that's probably the third time Jerry has now won the Melbourne Cup, which is fantastic.
Yes, his first one was American, as you mentioned, and that was his first ever runner in a Melbourne Cup, and he won it. And I was lucky enough to be at that.
You say that, John. You know, he came to the Tour de France that year, and he went off to the stables, and that's when he bought the American and took it back to Australia. No,
it was actually in America at the time. I'll tell you how it happened, because I was driving along with Jerry and Johnny Rebo in the back, and he got a call from this agent and said, "Jerry, I've got the horse for you." And you're right, it was a French horse, but it was actually in America at the time, and it didn't like the American gravel tracks. And he said, "This horse is qualified for the Cup. It's ridiculously good price, and it's capable of winning it." So Jerry bought it on the spot in the car during that Tour de France.
No, see, I learn something every day, John.
John, two things to fill in, John. John, what's a ridiculously good price? Do you know?
Yeah, it was only a couple of 100,000. So that was,
I remember that figure, 200,000.
Yeah. So for a horse of that stature, if it had gone to America and not been going well, it wouldn't have been anything like that. But they just thought it was finished. But this guy knew. He just said it doesn't suit the American gravel tracks. So they got it out, and it was brilliant. Of course, I was lucky enough to go to that Cup and to the after party. So I was drinking for the Cup like Val was tonight. So I had a great night, which was at one of Jerry's pubs. Their party here was at the Prince, where I just saw them on. I didn't make the party this year, but. They were just on Channel 7 News. So, Gadinsky and Lloyd Williams or other partners, they were all there partying, having a great time.
Fabulous.
So the Aussie battlers got one up. So Lloyd and Jerry got one up. To you, Phil, so you know of the Cup because of your time spent in Australia, but
absolutely,
has there been any hype of it like now? Has it been on the news? Has there been a build up for it in the UK?
No, none at all. No, it's not been mentioned in fairness. But the year that Jerry did win, I was in a coffee shop in my local village here, just 5k away, having a cup of coffee, reading the Daily Mail newspaper. On the sports section, I just read Australian entrepreneur Jerry Ryan won the Melbourne Cup and a cheque for $5 million yesterday. And I thought, what? I had no idea he was running in the Melbourne Cup. And I sent him a little message and said, "Jerry, I cannot believe you never told me." He said, "Phil, you missed out." I didn't know he was even running the horse in the Melbourne Cup at the time.
Scotty, evidently the Melbourne Cup is actually quite big in Britain now. In all racing circles. Yeah.
Oh, what's going on, John?
We only talk about COVID here now.
That was Kay. That was Kay closing the doors. We were making too much noise for her in watching television.
I hope a little flutter on the winner today. Otherwise, I'll be very disappointed in Kay.
Yeah.
No, well, it's a bit of a Dan Jones story. Dan who messes up the bit. I got a couple of tips from Jerry of his horses, and I misunderstood what he said, I backed the one that didn't win, and I missed out, and I backed the wrong horse. But anyway, that's another story.
Hang on, you got to tell the truth. You've rung me to back it. I still haven't got the money yet. Okay. Now that it's lost, I reckon I've got Buckley's.
There's a good place for a lawsuit there, I think, Dan.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought we've still got plenty of winnings left over from the Tour de France, haven't we?
No. Great Divides. Iffy in the doghouse. What's happened, John? You've been kicked out of the cabin.
Well, I moved. Well, you complained about when I was in the little room, and I couldn't come outside here when I had all the kids and grandkids here. But they've all nicked off today, so now it's just Casey and I. She's in there watching telly, and I've come out on the little patio area here at Ngambie, at the Ngambie Lakes. And yeah, so as you can see, one of the kayaks in the back there. I think I got my bike. I try to move my bike there, but you can't see it. But anyway,
I see breaking news today, Johnny, that the Nationals are going to go ahead 3rd to the 7th of February.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. There's a bit we can talk about with that now. So hopefully Phil's still coming out. We're still, hoping he will be out here for.
Nobody wants me. They can't.
Oh, you never know. I know. I just sent a message off to Stuart O'Grady to find out if you were still coming, Phil. Hopefully you are.
Well, but yesterday with commiserations to Stuart O'Grady and no reply yet.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have a whole festival of cycling in Adelaide. It won't be called the Tour Down Under, but it's like a substitute event. And I can tell you, all the people that I've spoken to in the last couple of days who were going over Tour Down Under are still going, because they're going for the party and the festival, and that's still going to be a case. It will be an NRS race, but at the top level, and they're hoping to have a national team with a couple of our big World Tour stars in the national team. So that is the plan. And then they'll come back from there. It'll be the Bay Classic just after that, and then the Nationals on the following Wednesday, and then the Melbourne to Warrnambool the weekend after that. So there'll be a summer of cycling. It just it'll be a little bit different.
And as you know, Phil, Tour Down Under especially, it's much more than just a bike race, isn't it?
Well, it's very much more than that. It's a whole community getting together. Well, it's a whole state getting together as far as South Australia is concerned. And you guys seem to be on top of this COVID business. You've shut yourself down. You've locked your island away. Your cases are just a joke to read. There's none of them to talk of. But by keeping this sort of quarantine period for the whole of the continent, you're going to survive it big time. Here, it's not the same at all. So I think, yes, the only reason the Tour Down Under is cancelled is because they can't get the participants to come over. They're not allowed to come in. If they were all going to work together to bring them in and put them in a bubble, the riders didn't want to come because they've got to come back here to quarantine. They're going to have to quarantine there, and they all for 8 days of racing in the middle, and they're going to be out of action for 5 or 6 weeks or more. So they couldn't come, and that's the only reason. I mean, this race is. The crowd will come out and support the festival for sure in Australia, and I'm delighted for that. But I don't see any international.
Guys, what's going to be interesting, right, is that because everybody's sort of gearing up towards 2021, so all the teams, obviously, as you said, Phil, they don't want to come out to Australia because they may get caught out with too many times in quarantine and therefore miss their preparation, or at least the races that start next season. However, with the way things look at the moment, Europe may not go back into racing for many months into 2021, and therefore by the teams not coming to Australia, they actually forfeit the chance to do 2 World Tour races at the start of the season, to at least have some World Tour points to start the year by doing TDU and also the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race. So, and we won't know any of this until, with the benefit of hindsight, obviously, as we go into 2021, we'll understand a bit more. But if that is the case and they don't actually get the European season up and going, those teams, therefore, in that case, should have come to Australia to get some racing under the belt at least, and come to a safe country to get some training in as well. But they're also worried about getting into the start of the European season. They don't want to come out here, but it may actually backfire in the end. We'll just have to wait and see.
It could well be. They're starting next year at the moment. The cases in Spain, the cases in France, the cases in Britain are out of control. The governments can't control it. The governments have got no idea what to do. They're taking advice from scientists who know absolutely nothing. We've got big discussions on the radio this morning where a top scientist has called the scientists who are working with the government, just giving us completely untrue statistics and projections. So we're going into lockdown in 48 hours, and the rumour's already starting that people aren't going to bother with the lockdown because they're just feeling that This has got out of control, and the government are not in a position to control it. But who knows?
Would one of the big issues be if it does explode in Europe? I mean, the government in Australia, if we've got no cases, they won't want flights coming in because of obviously the potential of it spreading.
Exactly, and that's what's already happening, Dan. There's a limitation on the number of people on flights. Therefore, it's costing you a lot. It's costing people who want to come business class airfares because they're not bothering with economy seats on the aeroplanes because they don't make any money on those. And they have to fly to, at the moment, it might change in the next few days. They have to fly to a neutral state, like Queensland, for example, and they have to quarantine at their own expense for 2 weeks before they leave that hotel. And by quarantine, they don't come out the front door of the hotel room. They don't even go to the lifts. There's security on the floors to stop them doing that. So they are in a room for 2 weeks with the food delivered to the door. Now, there's nobody going to go through that for any reason other than a life and death situation. That's for sure. Yeah. So you've done it. You've got the country safe. There's no way we can do it. We just can't do it. Heck, we get about 400 migrants a day coming across the channel in a boat, and we can't even stop them. So how are we going to control COVID?
Phil, I'm not sure if you heard about the debacle that happened in Melbourne with quarantine, but what you just described is a very boring and mundane way to quarantine. But what got us in a lot of trouble in Victoria was a much more exciting way of quarantining, which was quite unfortunate. With some of the security guards were getting up to no good with some of the people. So certainly we didn't condone it. Now we've got some racing coming up in Australia, Phil. There's going to be 9 days of racing in northern New South Wales at the end of November, starting of December, as part of the National Road Series. But Victoria still has a hard border, so unless you're an essential worker, you can't actually go into New South Wales. And there are several riders from several of the National Road Series teams that have flown to Sydney. I know there are 3 in particular from the Bridge Lane team that are in one hotel room in Sydney doing 2 weeks of quarantine on the home trainers every day, doing multiple sessions. When they've heard about these races coming up, then the team sent them up there and they had to fly from Melbourne to Sydney. And they're doing this 2 weeks of quarantine and training every day on Zwift and on the home trainer just to prepare for these next races that are coming up at the end of November. So desperate situation for anyone in Victoria that wants to be a part of the National Road Series. There hasn't been any races this year. This will be it. So they're certainly going to tough it out over the next couple of weeks in training.
I hear they've actually wasted their effort because the borders. The quarantine border is going to come down in about 10 days, evidently, between New South Wales and Victoria. So they will have done it for nothing. But anyway, at least they're keen. I'll give them that.
It's a bonding experience. For the boys.
Hey, Phil, have you had a chance to look at the Vuelta much this year?
Every day.
Yeah. What do you think?
I've got this new app, so I'm watching it on Spanish television. I have a bit of a problem with the Spanish, but I can read the pictures, and I've seen a bit of Piper. And again, it's absolutely incredible. Roglic, I just like this guy so much because he's a totally committed guy. He's a real strong team about him. But at the end of the day, he's left with usually 2, and in the end, only 1 helper. That's Sepp Kuss, the American who I think could win on his own right these days now after his riding this year and last year. But when he finished at the top of the Langaroo, boy, that guy was not in the same world as anybody else. He was blown away. And he's come up positive again. We'll see what he does in the time trial now, later today, my time. And I hope he does really well. Because the big surprise to me is Hugh Carty. This is a kid who used to ride alongside Tao Gegenhardt, who just won the Giro d'Italia on the JLT Condor team. And now these 2 guys gone their own ways through separate routes, and the poised. One's won the Grand Tour Italy, and Hugh's poised to possibly win the Vuelta España as well. And these kids were just club cyclists, racing in Britain. Well, they're pros, but they're racing here in Britain, and they've broken into the big time. And it's all gone under the radar because of COVID. But we have actually witnessed 3 fantastic Grand Tours this year. Probably the most exciting in many, many years, all 3 of them. So we'll see if you can pull off the big one. He's looking set for a podium just now.
I reckon he'll jump up a place tonight. I reckon he'll take 30 or 40 seconds out of Carapaz. So it'll be interesting because he's quite a good time trialer as well. So it'll be good to watch. Yeah.
Well, let's have a look at the profile for the time trial. Pretty flat, and then you've got the big pimple at the end. Who's this going to suit? Iffy?
It's more than a pimple, mate. I was just reading about it. It's actually got a section of the same, even steeper than Agnew or whatever. It's like 29%. There's 300 meters of this is 29%.
Wow. It looks like those jumps you used to make as a kid. You know, when you have your BMXs?
Well, when you said who does this suit, Dan, I said if you stack 20, I was thinking to myself, stack 20 buses past that last ramp, and that's Evel Knievel written all over it.
So what are you predicting? You've got 30 kilometres that Roglic is going to put a stack of time into them, and then suddenly you got the last 2K or 1.8K or whatever it is, which just goes straight up, and then that brings all of the others into it. So I think Hugh Carthy, who handled the steepest hill they've had, he was the best. So that got his name written all over it. So I don't think he will beat Roglic, but I reckon he'll run second to him.
Yeah, there's an elevation there in only in old money a mile of about 300 meters.
Yeah,
and that's from zero to the top. That's quite a steep climb when you're doing it straight from the ground level to the top.
Exactly.
That's the first time I've seen the route. I'll be honest. I haven't. I just turn on the telly and watch it on the telly, and be as surprised as anybody else. I don't think the coverage in Spain is anything like the coverage that I would work for because it don't tell us enough information. But yeah. I think we're going to. This battle is only between 4 riders anyway. Now, all the way to Madrid, and I think you're right, John. I think Q will be up in second place tonight, and who knows who the leader is now? That's a good question. I really don't know.
Well, I reckon there's 5. I reckon there's 5. It's out of 5 because there's. You've got to put Mass in there as well. He's going really well. So you've got Roglic, Carapaz. Hugh Carthy, Dan Martin, who's still right in the mix.
Now, Dan epitomizes everything youngsters should look for. This guy knows how to ride a bike and suffer. The times this guy gets dropped and crawls his way back to the front runners on the climbs and goes for the win as soon as he gets there. He's such a great bike rider to watch from a pleasurable point of view. I did it again on the Angleroo. Exactly. I love that guy, the way he rides a bike.
And Enrico Mas has been attacking quite a bit. So those 5 are all within, like, at the moment, less than 2 minutes. I think it's 1:50 back to...
That's correct,
so everyone else is... The next guy's 5 minutes back. So they're the 5. And it's be interesting to see what happens.
Well, 4.5. Could be a bit more after time. I'm not going for 5. I'll go for 4.5.
Dan Martin on the like I agree with you, Phil, with how gutsy he is. Absolutely, he's not the most like his pedaling style, his actual riding style isn't attractive. Absolutely, what I want to see is a 2-up breakaway between Dan Martin and Chris Froome, 2 of the most sort of gangly, awkward riders in the peloton, swapping turns.
The chicken wings.
Well, they'll be teammates next. They'll be able to do it a lot. They're teammates next year.
It'd be like 2 Black Widows riding together, wouldn't it?
So you're tipping Roglic. The punters have got Roglic on top. Then Cavagna. I think your man Hugh Carthy's paying $56. So a lot of these betting agencies, you can back them each way. So you get quarter odds. So that's not bad odds.
We can recoup our money from the cup today, Dan.
Yeah, don't take any advice off TT, by the way.
the more you bet, John, the more you win. Gamble responsibly. Okay. Now, random questions. Ben Jensen says another serious question. Why wasn't Durbo selected for any Grand Tours this year? Scotty? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's probably one we should have put to Whitey, but he was trying to focus on the time trial at the World Championships, which he did a reasonable ride, but not right in the mix. So still a good solid ride. I'm not really sure. I can't answer that one. We'd have to put that one to Matt White next time we get him on.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a good interview with Hugh Carthy with Mitch Docker. Thanks for the heads up, Sam, on his podcast, Inside the Peloton. And we've got another.
Dan, Mitch is a really good interviewer. He is in Melbourne a couple of years back when I was in for the Sun Tour. And he came up to my room and he sat on he asked really interesting questions. He got a lot out of me. I didn't know I actually was in me. So, he'll have got some good stuff out of you. Oops, daisy. I'm going to take this because I've got to open the gate.
Okay. Right, mate.
I love it. It's all happening here.
I think when Mitch did the interview with Phil, Mitch did an interview with me, I think, at that same Herald Sun Tour, actually. It might have been at the RACV club down in Gippsland there somewhere, Johnny. And he did interviews that same day with Phil and I, actually. Yeah. It was good. It was good to chat with him.
Yep. We had a few other comments, but Phil's not here to answer them. Buster Thomas says the Bridge Lane boys should ride from Sydney to Adelaide. That's good preparation. Now, another talking point. We were talking with, obviously, who'd we have on the other night? I've got mental blank on. Yeah.
Rory?
Oh, mate, I've been out in the sun, 30 degrees. I'm fried. We're talking about the Riders' Union, and I saw an announcement today that there is a new Riders' Union called the Riders' Union. They don't have a website, but they've got social media account, and it's driven by Luke Asigna and former Jumbo Visma rider Steph Clement, who is currently in the role of interim CEO. The rest of the board is made up of Michael Rutherford, Andrew McQuaid, who we know, and Thibaut Hoffer. So this is obviously a good step moving forward, or does this clutter it, do you think, Scotty?
At first bat, you'd say good step because they're doing something, but I just don't know enough about it to understand whether it has been really something driven by the main riders and contributors. And as Rory was saying yesterday, it was, by the way, fantastic interview with Rory. It was great yesterday, was that, he wants to see every single rider have a vote. So it looks like you've got some interested parties from inside the teams and inside the peloton, which is good. That's better than what they have with the CPA at the moment, which is UCI driven. And it's a toothless tiger. Whereas this may be coming from a better angle and actually will have some proper buy-in from the riders within the peloton. But I just don't know yet if we've gone to a level where everyone actually gets to buy into it and actually have a proper vote, democratic vote, to actually get the people that we want to be running the show for the riders in particular. But I think this is a better option, by the sounds of it, from what the CPA is at the moment. But I reckon there's even a better way of going forward with this, which is to include all of the pros.
How'd you go, Phil? Did you get all that sorted, mate?
I managed to open the gate. We're having a meter fitted on our electricity. Can you believe?
Oh, we're just chatting then about.
It's like Fort Worth here, I don't take this back.
Well, particularly after the release of the doco, mate, you'd have randoms paparazzi trying to jump the fence. We're just chatting about the Riders' Union, mate, and there's a new one that's been announced today. The only name I recognise in the board is Andrew McQuaid. But we were chatting with Rory Sutherland yesterday, and it was about, he didn't think that the protest was done correctly. And then we had George Bennett a couple of days earlier, and he said, look, you got to be careful when you do protests. You don't want to, it's like Boy Who Cried Wolf, you don't want to burn too many matches with every little indiscretion. What are your thoughts, firstly, on the protest, and secondly, on the Riders' Union?
Was this the one about the time splits?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they made a point. It wasn't so much a protest as just registering a point, and then they rode away. They didn't delay the race too much, and they did make a point of saying they weren't blaming the organisation at all, which I thought was brilliant. If they were originally told that this was a flat finish and that the times were going to be a bunch finish up this climb, then that's the way it should have stayed. You can't alter it halfway through the race. That's impossible. So they were right to protest as far as I was concerned. I didn't agree with the other protests the other week, but that one was absolutely spot on. The commissaires are a law unto themselves, always have been. I should know. I've been one of them. But they are, and they haven't. The UCI won't get involved in a protest like that at all at the governing level until they've read the reports from the commissaire after the race is over. So It's like there's no appeals in bike races. If a commissaire relegates you to the last place, you can't appeal against it. You're in the last place, and that's the end of it. So I think they were absolutely wrong, the commissaires, to split that field. And don't forget, Rob Litch, who was the benefactor, he was also on the side of the protest as well. So.
Hey, it always seems that commissaires get a bad rap. You know, they're always a target of right out frustration and anger. Did you ever have any good dust ups when you were running races?
I'll tell you, people who I now count as friends, when I was a commissaire, they were pros. They dropped back to the car, and I can't repeat what they said to me when I've made a decision, but they shouted through the car window, 4-letter words, and I've just said to them, I'll call him X. I just say, X, ride away from the car now, otherwise you're out of the race. And he's ridden away from the car. Because, well, I understand too, I was a cyclist. People have forgotten it. But when you're riding, I used to swear at riders and get really pissed off with everybody because it's the adrenaline pumping. So you've got to allow for that as well. So, yes, I've made one or two people. But at the same token, the British Professional Cycling Association, as it was in the old days, used to request that I commissaire the races because they felt I was a very fair observer of the sport. You can only do it as you see it happening, but that's a bad decision to change the rules when the race is in progress. You can't do that.
Phil, I don't know if you're aware of this, but only I think last year they changed the rules so that if you do use a 4-letter word at a commissaire, it's instant disqualification. You're kicked off the race now.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
we had two of them at the two. Yeah. Well, actually, we had three riders at the Herald Sun Tour last year in a heated moment. Yeah, and they swore at the commissaires. And as the race director, I had to go and talk to those riders and ask them to go and apologise because it was the first year that they brought it in, and it was one of the first races that they had for the season, of course. And a heated moment, and several riders were swearing at commissaires, and they, was reminded of them that in the current rules for that particular year, it's just come in and been implemented that you are to be disqualified from the race. Now, Team Sky had one of the riders, and they were completely aware of this and were very apologetic. And there was another rider from Trek Segafredo, actually, who I explained to him that you will be kicked off the race unless you go and apologise to the commissaire. They're going to have some leniency on this one because it's a new rule. So he went the next morning and spoke to the commissaire and apologised to her for that, and then went on to say, but I think you did a shit job. Honestly. And I thought, you know what? Go home. Kick it off. Do whatever you want.
I think it's a bit harsh. I think there should be a UCI cake of soap, and at the finish, tongues out, rinse your mouth out with soap.
Exactly.
Old school, that works.
I go with that.
Well, but Phil, actually, Phil is a 4-letter word. They weren't just saying Phil, were they? Or were they saying if something else that starts like with them?
Phil, leave the card immediately, otherwise I'll have to disqualify you.
Yeah, coming back to say, g'day, Phil. 2 4-letter words.
Oh my God.
Now, before we start looking at the Tour de France race route, John, it's time to do your best work, mate. You're in Nagambie. Jerry's had a big day. No doubt he's got the Prince Shiraz out, and he's having a few quiet ales with the crew. John, you know that this happens every time. You'd think you would have your script next to the computer.
Yeah.
You would think.
Well, I have.
Right.
You made me move because I was all set up, and then you made me move. So now everything's everywhere. So my life is disarray again.
Oh, now it flies on the screen. Okay. All right, John, do your best. Just try your best, mate.
One of Australia's favourite wineries, Mitchelton, a place of escape. Experience the history. Exactly. Well, it's all open now. We were there big time for Dean's birthday on Sunday, mate. So experience the history, the beauty and the serenity of the Golden Valley at your own pace. Looking over the vineyards from the iconic tower, staying at the new hotel, relaxing by that beautiful pool that you see there, recharging in the day spa at that lovely couple are, exploring the seasonal menu at the Muse, where I had the kangaroo
tartare.
Tartare, yes. Stopping by the providore, touring the cellars, and of course tasting their signature wines. Mitchell has become the popular venue for weddings and major functions. Now, there's a happy couple there, and another happy couple, we think, there. And also, you have to go down and visit the amazing Aboriginal Art Gallery down in the catacombs down below. It's world class.
Now, get Phil to have a stab at what this piece of art is worth. What do you think? What do you think this
Been
truck
going
would
up
be
daily.
worth?
Well, I know Jerry has this wonderful exhibition underneath the ground there, and the Aboriginal exhibition, but I haven't seen this vehicle finished like this. I would think it's possibly priceless.
Well, on this show, it just keeps going up, mate.
Well, it's a $10,000 Land Cruiser with a $1.4 million paint job. There you go.
There you go.
I know where Jerry's spending all his winnings on that.
All right.
It's amazing.
Before we unpack the Tour de France race route, here's a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Wow.
Thanks again. Great ad, isn't it, Phil?
It is great.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that, mate?
Did you shoot it?
Yeah, I directed it, shot it. I did all of it. Yeah. So, no, I wish I could take credit for that, but unfortunately, it's a big fat no. Okay.
Would you believe that I actually did it, Phil? Would you believe that?
Mike, I was in focus too. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because as you can tell by
That's even bigger
John's, as you can tell by John's image, he thinks a lot about cinematography. Like his face is crystal clear tonight. The lighting's perfect. The background's sensational. All right, it's time to look at the Tour de France race route. Thought what we could do is I'll play the video that they released at the presentation. I'll do it at 1.5 speed, and yes, just maybe talk through it. So here we go.
Well, you want me to talk to it?
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. Just anyone chime in.
No, I give Phil. Phil's the man, mate. Absolutely.
Well, look, I've not seen the route yet, but let's go through it anyway. I know it's starting over in Brittany because Copenhagen had to pull out because of the European football and the clash of dates with the cancellation this year, etc., etc. But anyway, we're going to go out to Brittany, I believe. And this I'm seeing for the first time. But Brittany and Brest, the area around Brest, it's going to spend, I think it's 4 days in Brittany. Warren Barguise told me he's going to try and win stages and take the yellow jersey because he's a local boy. But there are 2 climbs up the Mur, the Mur de Bretagne, which we've never done before. 2 climbs, and I think it's going to be a tough one. And there she is.
They also have the ladies' race that day, and the women's race, and I think they've got 4 or 5 climbs up the Mur.
Six.
Johnny, there you go.
6 times up the Mur for the ladies, by course. Yeah.
The ladies. Oh, good luck! It's a tough climb.
Yeah.
At 1.5 speed, you get a bit sick watching it zing around this quick. But anyway,
we're still back in Brittany, and they've got to they're in the Alps already.
Le Grand Bonnant and Cluse. It's a beautiful area. I love the area. Tignes is.
Do you want me to slow it down?
No, it's going well. The Albertville to Olympic Games in the winter. I spent time there at Courchevel. But of course, hidden in amongst all of this is the fantastic stage of taking Mont Ventoux, finishing at the bottom of the climb. But of course, only after we climb it twice. before we finish on the descent at the bottom. That is going to be an unbelievable stage, and who knows what on earth will happen, because there's going to be one heck of a chase off the top of the mountain, that's for sure. Down to the lovely Roman capital of Nîmes and its famous Colosseum, Carcassonne, the walled city, on the edge of the Pyrenees now, into the Pyrenees, down the valleys, and then up and over the climbs at Quillon and Serres. It is going to be a very, very interesting tour, this, and I think the time gap might be quite big. And Andorra, where many of the pro bike riders live these days, including most of the Mitchell and Scott team, I think, they're going to go and recce these courses for sure. Saint-Giron, that's down in the Pyrenees as well. And no, it's looking like a good route. The Saint-Laurent-Choulon, that's where I got blown up by the Basque separatists, so I'm not going back there. And then we continue on to Luzardi-Den, that's where Greg LeMond once conquered the man called Cappuccino from Italy, Claudio Chiappucci. And then the wine drinking, Jerry will be happy with the Bordeaux in Saint-Emilion and Chateau. And then we finally do a little big lap, as always, finishing in Paris. Let's hope we'll get there. I don't think I'll be commentating from France, I'm afraid, because it looks as though with only 8 months to the tour, the television network can't set up the big travelling crew with the uncertainty of COVID. And I think I'll be back in London working again, as I was this year.
It's going to be very interesting. I was just saying, but what you were saying earlier, Scotty, about potential of the season not starting. What I'm hearing is that they're very confident the season will happen, but it will be along the lines of what they're doing now in the Vuelta, and what they also did at the Tour of Flanders, is that there will be no spectators. It'll just be the locals will be able to stand out and watch you go past their door, but that's it. And they'll be very strict on all the COVID rules. So it'll be sort of a very, very different scenario to what we had in France this year.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think it's going to be any change in the early part of the year at all. France are getting at the moment, and it was just starting at the time of the Tour de France. I don't think the Tour de France would have been held if we'd have gone on 3 weeks later and it went. They were so lucky to get away with it, because we're now over 40,000 cases a day in France. And hotspots were along the route of where the Tour went, Paris and down south, Marseille area, etc. So I think we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle if he's not going away. I think we're in for a very rugged 2021. I really do.
What was amazing is those stats where people showed that in June 27, Victoria and France were on the same case numbers. And now we're on 0, obviously, and France is on, as you said, 40,000, I think 50,000 the other day. What surprises me, Phil, is, where you are in the UK. I mean, Boris Johnson had COVID. He almost died. If anyone should understand, how serious this is, I suppose the biggest difficulty is you're up against people that just want to go about their normal daily business, and the whole angle of you don't want the cure to be worse than the problem itself.
No, but we're overreacting, because we're not even reaching figures of deaths here in Britain that are caused by influenza and pneumonia every year. And then but the thing is, we have vaccines for those. So if you die, that's tough luck, because we've got the vaccines. But now there's no vaccines for COVID, and there's no cure for COVID. So if you're vulnerable, you've got a good chance you will pass away. It's like people of my age. But for kids growing up, they're fine. I've got a lot of people who've had it. I know them. They've had it. They didn't even know they had it, and it's cleared and gone. But they could have passed it on to somebody else. But young people, it's not a serious disease at all for young people.
And the other factor is if the hospitals get inundated, Phil, like we saw in, say, around Bergamo in northern Italy, that takes all of the space. So someone that comes in with whatever medical emergency doesn't get treated, and they die even if they don't have COVID. So there's only X number of hospital beds that are available. And if they get filled up with COVID cases, people die.
Britain as a country is spending billions of pounds. That's extra billions when you think in dollars. Instead of giving everybody money for not going to work and saying that our hospitals and our national health service will crash, well, instead of putting the billions in to keep people out of work, put the billions into building more hospitals. And if you get sick, you get into hospital, and hopefully you get cured, because the country cannot go on in this manner. But unfortunately, in my respect, I can't get into Australia and I can't get into my other loved country, which is South Africa, because of what's happening in Europe. We are persona non grata as far as the world is at the moment.
Back to the tour route, and
yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, the tour route.
Yeah,
you remember the tour
doom and gloom.
It'll be my 49th, and I still won't get to France.
I'd like your take on some of these things. So some of the little points that I looked at, Phil, about the tour route was, starts in Brest. Second stage is up the Vuelta Britannia, and that was for Cadel Evans. That's where he won the stage the year that he won the tour, 2011. Now, he also finished second in the second stage that year behind Philippe Gilbert. So it just showed right from the very start that Cadel was absolutely on fire, and he won on the top of the Vuelta Britannia. It's going to be great for La Course that they get to race up there 6 times. That's a proper race, which is so different to what the ladies had to do for several editions of La Course that was only on the final day on the Champs-Élysées. It was a big criterium for them. And the ASO are actually giving them some real credibility now and respect by having a proper bike race for them, as they have done the last couple of years. 3 summit finishes. You mentioned Tignes, which is they've had time trials up there. I meant Evgeny Berzin smashing it back in the day up to Tignes. So a summit finish up there. Also to Lutz-Ardiden, which for me, Lutz-Ardiden was one of the more memorable stage finishes that Lance Armstrong won after he got his handlebars caught on the bag from the spectator, from the little kid, and crashed, and then went on to win that stage. But also St. Larry-Soulon, which is the climb up to the Col de Portet, which is where I'm pretty sure Phil Anderson took the yellow jersey as the first non-European back in 1981, getting the better of Bernard Hinault. So it was up on the top of that climb. And Mont Ventoux, as you mentioned already, so 2 times up there. Great memories for me was, Pantani versus Armstrong. Controversy around that Armstrong let him win, and whether he should or not, was it disrespectful to do that. Pantani cracked the sads big time after Lance let him win that stage. That was in 2000. But the other one was 1994, Eros Polly, the biggest man in the race, winning one of the biggest mountain stages. He was 194 centimetres tall, which is 6'3" in the old language, and 87 kilos, and got a massive lead on his own before he hit the climb.
Only 20
I don't know, 20 minutes, and lost about, 17 minutes or something going up the climb, but still held on to win. It was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, I used to like you. He used to come over to Africa. My son.
Yeah, he has an Australian wife, I'm pretty sure, Eros Polly.
Yeah, you probably met her on the Frank Classic.
Yeah,
I think she's from Melbourne, I think. Yeah.
Well, all the good-looking girls are, John, aren't they?
Of course. Yeah. Or Maui, one or the other.
Hang on.
Well, Talabudra Valley, my circumstance.
There's a comment about the course. It's from Stuart McIntosh. He says, does the lack of a summit finish on Ventoux stage take something away from this stage? Not really the same if in all likelihood the GC race comes together again on the descent. What do you think, Phil?
Well, it won't come together on the descent, that's for sure. And not up to 2 times up the climb. It's going to be blown all across the mountainside. So the best man will still win. It's an interesting take, Stuart, I must confess. But I think in the long term, the Tour de France organisers have always been up for experiments to find new ways. And they've always come up with amazing new ideas that always surprise me how they think about them. I like the idea of 2 climbs. I remember when we had the 2 climbs of Alpe d'Huez on 2 separate stages. That was a tough couple of days, and we said they must be mad, but they were quite a success. So I think.
Well, they did the 2. They did 2 climbs of Alpe d'Huez on the one stage. They climbed it, and then went down.
They did.
They went down the other side, and then
that was
and that was a fantastic stage, actually. But I actually disagree with you a little bit on that. Well, I don't think it will be as good because the first climb of Mont Ventoux, they haven't done it in the modern era. They're coming up the easy side. It's only like 5% gradient. And no matter what mountain you have, if it doesn't finish on the top, it's never as good as a finish down the descent is never as good as the one on the top. That's really for GC. But look, they've still got 3 other great mountaintop finishes. I think it's a very balanced tour. It's not as tough as this year, but I'll tell you who it does suit. It suits Mitchell and Scott with Michael Matthews. It's a really good course for Michael Matthews.
Yeah, Yeah, it might well be. And 58 kilometers of time trialing in it's quite a lot.
Well, Johnny, give you this scenario, right? So Zakarin is away early in the stage, up on 2, and he's still away as they go up the second time, and he's got a 5-minute lead over the top with a 20k descent, and still loses.
Yeah,
That's
well, exactly. Yeah.
I look, at the end of the day, the riders make the course, not the organisers. We'll see.
Great Divide says, I reckon Alaphilippe is in with a shot next year if he wants it.
Well, it actually is a good course for Julian Alaphilippe. If you look at it, it's a type of course that he would go well in.
Is there any gravel sections? Have they given the gravel sections the lemon and sauce?
I haven't noticed any. I must admit, I read right through the thing, and yeah.
There's no place in a race like this. There's too much money involved to risk races like this because of a flat tire. I don't, and gravel racing is great. Gravel riding is heaps of fun and it's massive. The industry is really growing. But at races like this, when there's so much money invested, I don't think gravel sections have any place.
It's a good point. It is an arguable point too. I think Alaphilippe, though, he's the deluxe model of Dan Martin, and never stops trying. And if there's any chances, he will win the Tour one day. And I'd love to see it because I'm a little bit partisan to Alaphilippe. I like him.
Scotty,
I love him.
You'd be into this. Alaphilippe's, the boys on the social distance potty was saying he wears one of the most expensive watches in the pro peloton whilst he races.
Yes.
It's like 140,000 euro or something.
Yeah,
it's one of the most expensive. It's a Richard Mille watch, which he's a big sponsor in Formula One. And while that's one of the most expensive, it doesn't quite match Mark Cavendish's watch, which is worth $500,000.
And he wears it in the race.
He does, right? So I caught up with Mark. Yeah, I caught up with Mark at the London 6 Day last year, which unfortunately I would have been back for last week to commentate. So that was sad that all of that racing's off as well. And I said to him, because I didn't really understand, hadn't heard about the story about his watch, and the guys over there were telling me. So I said, "Hey, Cav, tell us about this watch." So he took it off, handed it to me. I put it on, and I said, "They tell me it's worth a bit of money. Is it true? It's worth $500,000?" He said, "Yeah, something like that." It was a bit of a one of a kind. It was given to him by Richard Mille himself. It was a one of a kind, as in he just had it made for him. But he did a deal with Cav that he went onto the bus a couple of years back in the Tour de France and just wanted a signed green jersey, one of his old green jerseys. So Cav gave him a green jersey and Richard Mille gave him a $500,000 watch. Pretty good swap. Pretty good swap.
That's unbelievable.
So he races in it all the time, right? So he races in it all the time. After the London 6 last year, he went to the next 6 day, which is in Ghent. Now, yesterday you heard the comment that came from the Wheel Wizard about my facial hair, and he was talking about the Kupke. So the Kupke, which we didn't go into yesterday, that's the name of the velodrome in Ghent, which is very famous within the Belgian cycling community. So that's the 6 day track. Mark went to the Kupke and crashed. And he crashed. He went too low on the track, spun out, crashed on the left-hand side, which is where he wears his watch on his left hand, as most people do, but not everyone. And I remember watching that crash thinking, gee, I hope that watch is okay. Apparently it was, yeah.
Hey, Johnny, we've had George Bennett on the show a number of times, and we talked about how every time he comes on the D2 in the morning, he has a great stage straight after. Yes. Now, we did an episode of Social Distance yesterday, and George doesn't agree. He was such a sad sack. Here's a snippet of him in his head. He thinks he's going shit. I'll show you.
I don't know why you're so hard on yourself, GB. You're doing awesome.
I'm doing shit, but the team's doing awesome. I'm not doing well.
You're doing bloody great.
I appreciate the, it's like what a mum always says about their child, he's like always the worst player, but he says, oh, he's doing well. But like, I'm not doing badly, but I'm just not that good, like I'm just like standard. Like I'm not sick. I'm just absolute base level, So like the good guys go, and then I'm exactly where I am on GC. Like I'm the 11th best climber in this race, but there's a huge difference. There's miles between the best 6 or 7 guys and then me, and it's just like, which is fine. You know, I'm good enough to do my work, and we're winning. And well, we're not winning actually. We lost. We're coming second, but it's a bit presumptuous, isn't it? Assuming that we're going to take over in the time trial. We're in a good position going into the TT tomorrow. But I don't know. I'm just tired. I'm allowed to be tired. I'm doing a Grand Tour, and I'm also allowed.
Yeah.
This is what I also get sometimes is what you guys are doing now. You're trying to pick me up and stuff. But if I say I'm not going good, like I'm not gonna, like when I'm flying, I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm not going good. Like when I'm going real well, I'll be like, oh, I'm going quite well. But I know I'm not going that good. So like I appreciate, like, you know, oh, it's good, you're going well, but I'm not. So like I'm not gonna suddenly go, oh, you got a good point there, I am going well. Like I'm not going shit, but I'm not going well. I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He makes a good point. We should have just bagged him and said, "You're creeping."
Well, he's done that, but he did have 2 of his best rides after he'd been on our show. That's what we're talking about, not the whole Vuelta.
Hey, Phil, you've been around a lot of elite athletes, particularly cyclists. Do you find that their mindset is they are very hard on themselves? And particularly in 2020, we've seen a lot of emotional post-race interviews. This has been a really tough year for a lot of these guys.
It's been very, very tough. And they argue with themselves internally because they don't want to show the world that they are superstars. Let's face it, they are the best. And when they haven't got that form, that magical form, they really don't want to reveal it. But the bike shows it to the world. I mean, the problem now with Chris Froome is he's getting slammed on the social media saying, get home, get off, you're terrible. Like what they say to me about my commentary, you know. And at the end of the day, Chris knows deep down he can come back, and he's going to come back, and he will come back. They are very special, mentally adjusted people. And I happen to like George a lot. He's another guy that's one of my favorites. He's always got a good trip if you bump into him. It's never about how well did I do or about his form. My coffee's just on. It's breakfast time here, by the way. Thanks, Chris.
See, I'm in you can see I'm in a really warm house, can't you?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Pat. How are you, darling?
All right, sweetheart.
Winter here, so
Yeah.
I'm going to need to get Pat's autograph, Phil. She's going to be a superstar after that documentary.
Oh, my God. I hated that.
Hey, good luck with the dancing. It came up sensational.
I have
half an hour to go. Half an hour.
So an hour's practice and then my lesson. It's good.
Zoom will be the death of me. They're going to realize we never need to leave the house anymore.
Anybody that retires from sport could take up dance. I've never been fitter.
Really?
There's never anything fighting out of it.
Can I just jump in? Can I jump in? So at the London Olympic Games, so you talk about, former, elite athlete myself. I've never been a great, walker since I've stopped racing. I used to get out-walked at the supermarket and at the shopping centre by my wife. At the London Olympics, following Phil and Trish around, so they would take me around London. We're going to take the underground and all that stuff. I couldn't keep up. They would just go everywhere we went from venue to venue. And it was amazing. Honestly,
just remember,
if I wasn't on my game, I was gone. I was lost.
But just remember what I did there. Every single day I went out to another event and I walked with camera gear on the trains every single day. I'd covered the ground. I'm pretty exhausted actually at the end of that. It was pretty hard.
Oh, you killed me. You killed me.
Well, I had a bag and I was wearing high heels most of the time as well, which was pretty stupid, but nevertheless.
Well, I'm not saying it was tough, Scotty, but I used to get to the velodrome for a sit down and a rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just got a text from my mate Vaz, and he said it's Trish, not Pat. So I went back to the old. You have to forgive me. Sorry, Trish.
You know me too long, John. That's the trouble.
All are old.
Hey, can I ask Trish, how has the reaction been to the documentary? Because a few people have seen it now in Adelaide, and Phil was saying it's going to be released in New Zealand. Have you been overwhelmed by the reaction?
Yeah, with who's seen it, absolutely. I think it's been incredible. I mean, yeah, when I look at it, and I've looked at it now 3 or so times, it really is a story. And I find it's not really like a documentary. It's almost like a film. And they said the same thing. And I tell you, there's a hell of a lot of stuff on that cutting room floor.
Really?
Including me. All my bits on the cutting room floor. But anyway.
John's filthy. He is filthy.
Didn't make it, which I'm very disappointed.
I'll get over it.
Oh, we're going to make an addendum DVD with all what's on the cutting room floor as an extra, which would have been eventually.
Well, I could make the second cut. Okay.
You might.
Okay.
All my cycling friends in Britain got chopped.
Yeah, the cycling room.
The basic was
so much stuff got chopped.
Runs at 1 hour 51 minutes now, and when they finished the edit, it was 2 hours 30. So they just had to cut it back. It wasn't a James Bond movie, for goodness' sake.
But they followed it around for 2 years, and you heard the male response to the Melbourne Cup and all that, and so now Nick is a character who takes them dealing with for 2 years being followed around by him. But anyway, that's the story.
The riff-raff got the flick. It was easy to get rid of the riff-raff first. So after I was gone.
Well, if you remember, John, I arseholed your interview from All for One as well, so you should be used to it.
Yeah, I got to say one word, I think. Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah.
I was looking to still be in it after Chris got involved.
Yeah, that's right.
What about, guys? What about an 8-part series with the Liggets and actually go more into the Africa stuff, more about where the rhinos are at? And honestly, it's an 8-part series.
That would be interesting because we've had some interesting stuff going on at the moment. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a cycling
podcast. I'll leave it for now.
We will divert it to a rhino broadcast.
Idea.
And a koala. We've heard great news about the koalas today, but we're not going to involve in it. So.
Well, not now.
Well,
it's one for another podcast, guys.
Guys, before we go, Trish, just so you know, where I'm living in I'm in Bendigo right now, but where I've been living in northern New South Wales, it's an estate called Koala Beach. It's just outside of Pottsville, which is in between Byron Bay and Tweed Head, so you get some reference there, okay? There are no cats or dogs allowed in the estate at all. It is only for natural wildlife, and there are koalas. I haven't seen one yet, but I've had several videos sent to me of the koalas that have been roaming around in the last couple of weeks, which I've been a bit disappointed by because I haven't been there and seen them in this period. Yeah. But yeah, it's to protect the natural wildlife, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
got
to come.
It has to come.
I mean, I love a cat, but they eat 15 million birds a year in Britain alone. We can't sustain them.
Yeah, I don't mind a cat as well. I remember when we were in Rio, they were talking about them. But you remember this story, Phil? One of the commentators, who was that? I forget now. And he went to a local food stand, and they got some meat on sticks.
Oh no!
And they're, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I should say all of it, but that's what they were eating. They were told afterwards that that's what they were eating.
Wow. When I was Olympics,
can we get back to the bike race? We've been going for an hour. We haven't even covered the bloody Tour de France yet, or the stage.
Don't get me started on Dagwood dogs.
Oh no!
No one knows what's in a Dagwood dog.
Talking about the famous expression came in the Tour de France. I think it was 88, when Dag Otto Lauritsen won the stage of Luzardi Den, which is where the Tour goes next year. And I'd been waiting to say this for 10 years. And I said, as he crossed the line, every Dag has his day. Because
every Dag has his day. Oh, I love it.
In Norwegian, you pronounce Dag Otto as Dog Otto. And so every dog has his day. Yeah.
That's very clever.
Dag Otto actually heard about it later. So
well, Dag has a different meaning in Australia.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I don't speak Australian. It's
got a couple. If you're very funny, you're a dag, or you could be hanging off the back of a sheep.
Exactly. Yeah, which is the original meaning. Yes.
So,
John, what else did you want to talk about before we go?
Tour de France. I mean, I think it's a really exciting Tour de France. It's very balanced. I mentioned Michael Matthews. I think he'd be a great chance for the green jersey on a course like this. Of course, Sagan, Van Aert, they're going to be. It's a tour that suits them, or suits Alaphilippe. But then we've got these, a defending champion. I mean, any course will suit him. With the extra time trialing, he'll love it. He'll love that as well. And Roglic, it's a great course for Roglic. So,
but let's not forget the youngsters this year have really come to the plate.
Yeah.
All the youngsters. Nibali said it right the other day when he said there's no place for the old riders left now. The youngsters are taking over, and I think he's probably right. But we'll say about Michael. I don't think we've seen the best of this kid. Even that, he wanted to go away and prove himself, so he changed teams. But he's come back, and I think now he knows where his direction is. We might see the best of him next season. I hope we do.
Yep. And as you saw with Rowan Dennis, if you're happy in the environment, you're going to get the best out of yourself. So be similar.
Bernal, just remember, Bernal will be back next year. So obviously,
yes, he will.
Not quite.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. And the other one that we haven't mentioned is Remco Evenepoel. Just wait till he's back and going again with his, all his injuries are healed. He is extraordinary. He is incredible.
And Van der Poel and Mathieu, they're all going to crash. It'll be a great season next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Will be.
We've got a comment, and I want to send a shout out. This is from Kirsty Baxter. She said, just reading Taryn, which is Taryn Kirby, embarking on a new chapter of her career in 2021 and leaving Green Edge. She's done some amazing things in her 6 years there, and wish her all the best with her next adventure. Shout out to Taryn Kirby. She's been sensational. She was the media manager for the Green Edge team. She came across in 2014. She's a tremendous hard worker, but a great person as well. So chapeau to Taryn for a very successful stint with the team.
Taryn's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've known her for many, many years. She's been and she's gone and she's come back, and now you're telling me she's gone again. But whatever.
She's a top young lady, actually. Yeah, top young lady.
She's absolutely top draw. Yeah. Well done. Much success, Taryn, if you're hearing me.
Yep, for sure.
Well,
anything you want to add?
Moving on. Yeah, well, there's a few, like Adam Hansen going into triathlon now, and there's a Rory Sutherland, as we spoke to last night, that's moving on. We still don't know what's going to happen with Mark Cavendish, if he's going to have a contract for next year, or if that's it for him. So
he doesn't need to. He can just sell his watch and not work for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, he can put his $500,000 watch on, jump in his McLaren, and then cruise home to his estate. He's doing okay. So he should, because he's had an incredible career.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be interesting. So, anything you want to add before we go, boys?
No. I think we've got it nailed down.
Well,
question to Phil. Sorry, Dan. Question to Phil.
Yep.
It took you a while to get out of South Africa to get back to the UK. So, what's the plan now? Like, are you going to stay? Well, obviously with the lockdown. So, what's the go?
All my haunts are done. I used to fly around 180, 200,000 kilometers a year, at least, maybe more. And I can't go to Australia at the moment, as the rules currently stand. So my month of January, which I used to come over for 6-7 weeks and work for the network, as you know. Supposed to be over in the period of the Olympic Games, because we're voicing that anyway from Melbourne, as was always the plan. But there's a room.
That's you, me, and Anna Mears together.
Yeah, well, I could be voicing it from London, because it was a big success when I did the Tour de France for American television from London. Huge success. Biggest viewing figure for 10 years. And that's gone down well in America. And they're definitely going to, I think, do it again in London, because there's no time to set it up. It's only 8 months for Tour de France. We have a crew of 90 people, hotels to book, and there's no certainty we can go into France. So I suspect we'll be in London whatever happens now. But we'll see. And maybe we'll get a skeleton crew out there. Who knows? But so my life has totally changed. I can't get home to. I call it home because I live there as well in South Africa. I won't go back. I've got a girl looks after the house, a housemaid, and the guy goes and opens the door and puts the windows back in when the baboons knock them out, and that's it. We are here for the foreseeable future. And if you want the truth, I think 2021 is not going to be a great year either for the sport. And hey, I'm getting older. I can't. I've got to be careful now. Man of my age could get COVID.
As he swigs down another cup of scotch. Is that scotch in the cup there, mate?
It's black coffee, yeah.
If you need someone to house this, I'll house sit in South Africa if you want over the next couple of months. I've got no problems with that.
brilliant. But you've got to sharpen your act against the animals. The crocodiles and the lions are getting quite brave now. There's nobody out there.
Okay, right. Just leave the lady.
You're a dag, Scott. Scotty, you're a dag.
Which one do you mean? What type of dag are you saying?
Well, that'll leave that up to the punters.
No, the world has changed for a while, but I really think that the sport will come stronger by it. But I think also the World Tour is going to struggle. I think almost certainly now we're going to lose two World Tour teams. I can't see Dougie Ryder pulling the matters to rights with Team NTT. And it looks as though Jim Okovich has got his problems in bringing back somebody to replace Team CCC. So those two tours may fall off the radar for next season. And they're making the rules a bit more flexible at World Tour level as well. So that not all the riders are not committed to every major race in the world just now. So everything changes. We're going to have to adapt and adopt and hope that we get through next year pretty strongly.
Yeah,
but
as far as the right word.
The racing goes, it's the best. And
exactly.
Come out of nowhere. Who would have tipped Teo Gegenhardt to win the Giro? And I know it's really hurt to Geraint Thomas, who crashed out on the second or third day, and with a broken pelvis of all things. But he said he couldn't even watch the television, even though it was his own teammate winning.
When we had Dave Brailsford on for nearly an hour the other day, just after the finish, he was so excited. It was about the way the racing was going, about the new Ineos way of racing. It was great to hear.
Yeah, it is, and Dave Brailsford's a magical background coach.
Yeah,
he knows.
But do you know, John, I think so that when Dave was talking about this, maybe just sort of throw caution to the wind kind of style of racing, I think the era of Ineos doing that started and finished at the Giro. There's no way they're going to risk that again going forward.
No.
We'll see.
We still had a good chance to win out of 3 tours, even with the collapse of Bernal in the Tour de France. So still
it's going to be interesting.
I'm getting eaten by bloody mosquitoes. I'll tell you what's one thing living well in the Gambie is the bloody mosquitoes.
Mate, there's been a few that have run in front of the camera, like, on those TV reports.
They're big. They can just about lift my computer up and walk away with it. They're big. Anyway.
All right, well, we better let you go. As always, thanks again, Phil, for coming on. Great insights, as always. And hang in there, mate. Keep knocking over that scotch out of the coffee mug at 9 a.m, mate. That'll sort you out.
5 p.m, never. Honestly, never. Not a drop.
Well, I think in Greece, a lot of people do just the grappa shot as soon as they get up in the morning. They live to 150. They love it.
Well, maybe I'll just have one small glass then.
All right, perfect. All right, thanks again. We'll see you again tomorrow night, 7:30, Australian Eastern Standard Time. For another episode of the Detour.
See you first, Scotty, Dad.
Okay.
Good.
Bye.